Summertime on the farm is a dry and dusty affair, with little to no green forage for the animals on the pasture. With currently more than 50 hungry mouths to feed on the farm, join us this week for our morning chores, where we share with you how we keep our food costs down despite our increasing population. We'll introduce you to some of our new arrivals, as well as giving you an update on some of our expectant mothers.
Well, here we go. We're about to go feed the pigs, so there might be a little bit of noise because they've seen me now. We are enjoying the outgoing of summer, so it's starting to cool off a little bit now, which is a great relief, and hopefully the rains will start soon. So normally here on the property we're able to, well, for the pigs, we're able to rely on part of their diet. They can eat greens and find it themselves, and also particularly for the cow that we got. If you didn't catch that news, there's a link to the video where we introduce our dairy cow. Obviously when there's green grass, then we don't have to feed so much to the cow. At the moment we do have to feed everyone. Like pigs have to have supplementary feeding anyway, they're monogastrics, so they're always going to have some feed expense, but at the moment it's like 100%. So what we normally give the pigs, they do have a ration, and we save a little bit of money by not having all separate rations. So when we pick up the chicken and pig ration, it's the same thing, and not everyone does it that way. So we have these this high protein seed chicken mix, but for the pigs I tend to soak it overnight. Oh, you got something to say? So I'll soak this overnight. It starts to sprout and it ferments a little bit, and the pigs really go crazy for it. And we found that this keeps them in really great condition. And I just wanted to give a hats off to our friend Jeff. He told us about this, and we've covered his story as well with him raising pastured chicken. So we've been using this. We're very happy with the way the pigs' condition is kept, but we also supplement it with this under here, and I'll try and do this without too much noise. So under this plastic we have a whole bunch of spent brewery grain, and we have talked about this in other episodes, but I'll just cover it here quickly because it's sort of the cornerstone of how we save a lot of money. So the local brewery, you know, this is spent barley. They crush it, then they boil it, they take that liquid because it's full of carbohydrates, and that's what they ferment to turn into beer. So none of this has any alcohol or anything like that. What it does have, excuse my baby chatting away on the back, she likes to be part of things. What it does have is a lot of protein and a lot of fibre. So the fibre is particularly good for the cow, and so is the protein. She's putting condition on, but we'll get to her. But for the pigs, I like to just supplement their ration with this. That protein is really great for them. The only thing with this is because it's high in protein, effectively it's like high in nitrogen, so it does go off very quick, and it will compost. How we found getting around that is leaving the drain on this IBC so the liquid can come out, but we also closely cover it in plastic, and we found that enables us to keep this, well, in theory for weeks, but we go through it so quick because the animals love it. So sometimes there's a little bit of mould that does grow on the top. Generally it's a sort of white mould. When I come along, I'll normally just scrape any that I see off the top and either flick it into the garden where the chickens scratch it and it just disappears, or we save it for our compost heap. And I've found that it composts very readily into some nice stuff for the garden. But anyway, where's the bucket? We'll scoop some of this into the pigs. If you give too much of this stuff to pigs, I've heard, I haven't experienced it, I've heard that they can sort of get like piggy hemorrhoids. So I tend not to. So I'll give them like, I don't know, 3/4 to a full bucket of this stuff between 4 pigs, and that seems to do just fine. When you come and see them, you'll see they're in great condition. While we're there, we better introduce you to some new arrivals as well, because there's lots of babies here. We're changing it from the Ramshackle Ranch to the fertility farm. Okay, like I said, you just need to cover that up. So what I do like to do is just take the shovel, try and make it as flat as possible, and cover it back up in the plastic. I am going to come back, we've got more animals to feed, so I won't cover it up. That was just for a demo.
The spent brewery grain is also supplementary feed for our goats and our chickens. Everyone just loves the brewery grain on the farm. And the resulting milk after a big feed of brewery grain is deliciously creamy.
So brewery grain, if you can get it, it is a cost saver. Animals do love it. And one other thing, I was just saying that all the carbohydrates has been taken out of this, so we have one other strategy to feed our animals, and it fills in that gap. All right, let's go see what they think. All right, and here is our source of carbohydrates. Now, for some time we've been getting free apples. We started off, excuse all the noise, but they love their apples as well. We started off actually gleaning, going and picking apples from one of our friends' orchards, any that are unused. But of course, that's not all year. What we did find is one of the packing houses in town, they refrigerate these apples to release them all year. But of course, that means there's rejects all year. So we get them. So these particular ones, these green Granny Smiths, they've got sunburn. People in the shops aren't going to buy them. There's nothing really that they can do about it. But we're doing our part to try and keep them out of landfill. Well, they eventually go into landfill as pig poo, but that's it's in a beneficial form, I guess. So there's our grain, our spent brewer's grain. You can see a little bit of green at the bottom of this. I also mix in about a fistful of lucerne chaff per pig with this mix. And you can see with these pigs, they've kept really, really good condition. I think we overfed our last pigs a little bit and they got a bit fat, but these ones are in good nick. This is a brand new mum, Zucchi. She had 10 piglets. One of them, unfortunately, was stillborn, and they're only like a week or so old. But we're really, really happy with the development of our pigs on this ration. They absolutely love it, but that's not really a big deal because they are pigs and they'll eat just about anything. Oh, in case you were wondering, the price that we're paying for that, so for our poultry and our pigs, it's 50 cents a kilogram, $500 a tonne is what we get this for. So we get it in half-tonne bags. We go and pick it up, and I'm sort of restricted how much I can get by how much my tractor can lift because it's only quite a small thing. So here's our brand new brood, the new mouths to feed on the farm. We've got about 50 hungry mouths to feed here, so we do try and get a little bit of economy going. We are trying to get them to trust us, but just gently, gently. All of the animals here, we do like to be able to handle them. So these guys are a little bit over a week old. Pascal actually called the birth date on these. She said, I reckon that sow's going to drop. And I actually thought it might be another week or even a bit longer, but she was right. So she was off farm and I had to sort of stand by and just look after the sow while she gave birth, because she did have to give birth in general population. We didn't move her aside. But as it turned out, all the rest of that mob, they were very, like unaggressive to these piglets. They were curious, they smelled them, but they've just been guarding them ever since. So that's really great. So you can see these guys are on milk, but they like to have a bit of a chew on apple. Here in these dusty conditions, I was a bit worried about that as well, instead of being out on grass, but they really like it. It seems that they've been doing quite a bit of rooting and digging with their little noses, and I read that they actually get quite a bit of their mineral supplement just by doing that. So there we go, 9 cute little piglets. And at any time now, you can see them sort of spread out because they have no regard for the fence. They just slip under it at the moment, so it's a real rat pack. This guy's scratching on the tree here.
Okay, it's time to milk and feed the goats. They have been yelling at us all morning. They're pretty upset that everyone else got fed before them. Such is the way of goats. They got a bit of personality, that's for sure. Their feed, we use the same feed that we feed the pigs and the chickens, but only a small amount of it. They're not equipped to deal with a whole lot of grain. They will get scour. And while I've said that, maybe you'll be wondering what scour is if they eat too much grain, and here's a little incident that happened earlier this year when they got into the grain bin. I've just cleaned up Dot. She was covered in scour, which is goat diarrhea. She got into the grain bin with her sister Jude for New Year's Eve. They had a bit of a party. Their bellies were extremely full and hard, and then they had a lot of trouble digesting it, and they made a big mess. So I wasn't looking forward to this morning. I knew I had to clean them up before I had to start milking them. So we've done one. I'm just milking her, and then we've got Jude to go, and she's in a bit of a state. Okay, so goats, they can have a little grain, but they can't gorge themselves on grain. It really upsets their stomach. So they have a little bit of grain every day. They have 1 or 2 of these, but it's pre-soaked grain, and it's been soaked in water with minerals added, with copper added, and with apple cider vinegar added. The copper is really great. It assists them in not having any parasites, and also it's supposed to boost immune function, and it's just something that we're deficient in Australia, in the soils and the browse that they would be eating. There's not much copper, and goats need copper to thrive. So we put copper in, a very small amount. They get a teaspoon each week, so that gets soaked into their grain. Along with their grain, they get a selection of chaff. They get lucerne chaff and oat chaff, and they also get brown, flaky brown. So I add that in, and then I add a few more minerals. I add sulfur, and I also add dolomite. And so that way their food is also their medicine, and they get everything they need when they're up on the milking stand. I can make sure that they eat all their feed up on the milking stand while I'm milking them, and so that they've gotten all those minerals every single day. And then for the rest of the day they get other things, but we'll show you that once I've milked them. We milk our goats every 24 hours, and this is a lot. They got a lot of feed yesterday, so the more you feed them, the more milk you get. We got about 3 litres of milk off them today, and I'll go put that inside. This will be for us. Any leftovers, or if anything goes sour, it goes to the animals. Alright, so that's the goats fed. I've released Jude from the head bale. I will release Dot now, and we'll go and get them some browse from the bush. So we supplement their feed with a lot of the pest species actually that are in the bush. It's really good browse for the goats, particularly Tagasassi and the pine. So I normally just chuck some of that in their enclosure, and they can browse on that during the day. And it's another free food source for our animals.
All right, for our cow, we do feed her hay at the moment, supplementary hay, which we do pay for. We didn't pay a real lot for this stuff. It had a bit of damage on it, so it wasn't going to be a premium, but it was from a friend of ours, so they did a very nice deal for us. So we got this hay roll for about $30 because it wasn't in the best condition. We don't have to feed as much of this. Normally you would be giving a cow like ours about 10 to 15 kilos a day, like they eat a lot. But the thing that they're really going for is the cellulose and things like that, and the grass gets digested by the bacteria in their gut. I'm no expert on cow digestion, but that's sort of the crux of it. But we can also supplement with that with this spent brewer's grain. So there's a lot of cellulose in that her gut bacteria really works with well. She really likes this stuff, and I think that because it's sort of pre-digested by the brewing process, I don't think she has to have as much work to digest this. In any case, it's quite high in protein. So on a diet of about this much hay, some apples again, and a couple of buckets, no, 1 to 2 buckets of this, depending on how she's going for grass wherever she is. She's put on great condition, and she is a pregnant cow because we got her as a dairy cow. So we can go and see that she's actually putting on a bit of size. She's looking quite sleek now. So I think this stuff is doing quite a good job. Come on, Bubs, let's go see a cow. Good morning, Astrid. So when I'm feeding Astrid, I don't tend to mix that grain in with the hay she gets. And the reason being is it sort of blends in there, and some of the hay, if she doesn't want it, that grain will mix with it, and she won't eat both of them. I know that she'll eat all this brewery grain, like every last bit of it, so I tend to feed them separately. So I've got a little sawn-off barrel back there that I'll pour this into while she's busy with that. But as soon as she sees this grain go in, honestly, she'll probably leave that hay and come straight on over. Hello, Astrid. When it comes time to be milking her, we will also be bribing her with this brewery grain. So I do like her to associate that wheelbarrow and this bucket with good times. Look, she's getting a bit impatient. Watch out there, Astrid. Come on, get out. Come on, back up, back up. So she definitely likes that grain. The nice thing now is we've slowly worked up our trust with Astrid, and certainly when she first came, there's no way I'd have my daughter on my back. But she's proven to be very trustworthy now. She's very gentle, and we've slowly worked from scratching the shoulder where she likes to try and lick, to scratching the belly, and now finally we're just giving her udder a bit of a rub. And that's all in preparation, hopefully, that she'll accept us when it comes time to milk her once she's dropped her calf. So it's been very satisfying actually to introduce Astrid into our family and have her start to trust us. Good cow. Now we do have a cow in a confined area, which means lots of poop, and we needed a sort of strategy to deal with that. Part of that is our free-ranging chickens do scatter it. But I have also brought along this bin. So I've separated our worm farm into 2 components. I've got a cut down IBC, like what we had the grain in, but also in this bin here, I have a whole bunch of red wriggler earthworms. So every second day or so, I can come and throw whatever cow pats I find in here, and they get demolished. I don't actually have to put any extra water in here. Those cow pats have enough water each time. I do have a drain at the bottom of this in case there is water starting to come in, and I can put my hand in there and just feel what the moisture's like, and it's invariably really, really great. So that used to be all cow pats. So we've got this down here. We'll get the worms out at some stage, but when Pascal's making up our future potting mix, our seedlings will get the best possible start. This is really amazing. So we're getting rid of our cow poo, and we're making plant food, and it's working really, really well. So another terrific source of free food has been this cork oak. So when we first got here, this thing was sort of dominating this space, and there's quite a few branches down here, but we've trimmed it up now, so we've got quite a nice space under here that's nice and shady. I really like this tree. It's been feeding our garden. It just drops leaves all through the summer down there. Oh, provides a bit of high shade, but also every animal on the farm loves this stuff. So at the moment, even though we feed our dairy goats cork oak periodically, I'm not taking that much. I'm only taking a little bit at the moment. And this is for our meat rabbits. Because cork oaks, or any tree really, mine quite deep down, this provides a lot of minerals for our bunny rabbits, and they really go for this stuff. Okay, here's our garden. Some of it's looking a little bit hard at the end of summer, but certainly not our comfrey. So I've planted this comfrey right at the base of one of these sprinklers, so any leakage gets harvested and taken advantage of. A really, really good bioaccumulator. This comfrey, it grows super fast, really easy to harvest, and everything loves this as well. So the goats go crazy for it. The pigs will eat this. I'll give them some comfrey once a week just to get the silica and other minerals up to them. But I do like giving this to the rabbits as well. So this comfrey is really, really great. If you're interested in how we built this garden from scratch, it did look pretty terrible, and it's not at its best right now, but it's going pretty well. But there is a link in the screen right now if you want to click and see how we built this garden pretty much from just bare dirt. I just spotted out of the corner of my eye something before we leave. Another nice thing about having animals is we can get rid of our ridiculously big zucchinis. We just went and attended a wedding, and so we just were away from the garden for a couple of days, and this is what happened. So because we own pigs, we don't have to break into our neighbour's house and drop zucchinis off of them. We can we can get rid of them in a more honourable way. When I got these rabbits, I got this handy little basket in the deal, and it really is great to keep their food off the ground. They like to come and browse on it. This is Roxy. Looks like she went straight for the comfrey. So these rabbits, they're not in a hurry to, they're not ravenously hungry. I also give them commercial pellets, which is just pelletized alfalfa or lucerne. But in their own time, they'll just come and disappear this because there was a similar basket to this about 2 days ago, and I can't even see us. Oh, there we go. I lie. There's a stem remaining of cork oak. That's about it. So I'll remove that. Okay, so we're just going to feed the other pig. She's all by herself. There's a reason for that. Before, she just exhibited some cannibalistic tendencies, but also we've been having trouble as things dry out with our fence. She never ever tests the electric fence. She's really petrified of it, so I can have her out in the dam paddock and not have to worry that she's going to get in and muck up the dam at all. So like I said before, I mentioned that what the green stuff was when we were feeding our pigs, a little bit of lucerne chaff. So Pasky has this for her goats. When she's not looking, I come and pinch a little bit. And also all of our pigs get a mineral supplement as well. Make sure that they get what is lacking in our soil. Pascal does the same thing. She doesn't use a proprietary mix. We were given this by another pig farmer who's very kind. Pascal actually makes her own. Big pig. Come on, big girl. So she's enormous, and I don't know if she looks it, but she's a real sweetheart. She's very gentle. When she dropped her first lot of piglets, she was entirely trusting of us. We were able to pick them up. Pascal was giving them cuddles all the time, and she didn't mind. So of the original litter that we got to clear up our land, she's actually the pig that we've kept to breed on with. We were a little bit worried that our small little boar might need a step ladder or something like that to get the job done, but I don't know how, but he obviously has, because there's very little clearance underneath this pig at the moment. So sorry about if there's eating noises coming through the microphone, but I'm close to a pig. So she's doing amazing. It really looks like that she's going to drop a litter anytime soon. I was hoping there'd be some piglets, but we don't know the timing on it. So last time she had 13. We'll see what comes out of this pig next time, but she's a really great mum. She suckled well. I did say that she had cannibalistic tendencies. I think what happened is she was on the bottom of the pecking order. She might not have been getting enough food from her sisters. And so she started eating our chickens, any that she could catch, and she actually ate some piglets from another litter, but they may have been stillborn because pigs do that. But anyway, she's out here on her own because we didn't want to have to trust her with those cute little piglets that are already born. So this little guy is Zip. He's Zippy the Wonder Dog. We've only just got him. He's still a little bit timid actually. He's still a 15-week-old puppy, so he's still processing what's going on around him. He's a Kelpie Labrador cross. So a Kelpie, if you're not Australian, a Kelpie's an Australian working dog. Very, very smart little dogs. And the Labrador means he's a stomach on legs. So that actually means he's quite easy to train. So we got this dog in the hopes of hunting truffles this winter. So we won't be going out into the forest or anything like that. These are commercial truffleries, but you need a couple of dogs to do it because it is, quite a long day in some bad weather. Look what a sook he is. In some pretty bad weather some days, and you need to spell your dogs. So I was hoping that Jet, our other dog that you might be familiar with, will be able to do it, but I did need a second dog, so I wanted a smart one that's easy to train. So at the moment we're just doing operant conditioning with him. Sit. Yes. And he's really taking to it well. Here. Touch. Here. Touch. Good dog. Oh, I didn't give him the proper command, did I? Down. Yes. So you can see after just a week, that is a pretty easy to train dog. He wasn't doing any of that before he showed up, so we're making pretty good progress. Okay, we might just wrap this video up by just talking about our chickens. I don't think they're a hungry mouth to feed around here. They're, I think they improve the efficiency of the place actually.
Yeah, we call them the cleanup crew on the farm.
They're definitely the cleanup crew.
Yeah.
We do every week, or even maybe every 2 weeks, we do just throw some layer pellets in here. We find that because they're layer pellets, it actually helps their egg production. There must be a few things missing in their just their free range activities, so we try and help them out there. But how do they get their food? Like larger animals, they spill food.
Yeah.
Undigested food comes out the back end.
Yes, so they like to scratch up all the poop of the other animals. There's often, grain in there. There's also often bugs in there, so it's a bit of a payday for chickens. And we rarely have lots of manure loads sitting around the farm. It's all been scratched into the dirt by the chickens, so it's really quite good.
That's a real upside. So not only do our chickens cost us nearly nothing, the feed costs are very, very minimal, but the service they provide of getting rid of that manure in a fly habitat, we've got enough flies, they just do a wonderful job. So can recommend chickens. Australorps, what do you think? They're a good multi-purpose bird?
Yeah, so we have Australorps on the property there, our black and grey hens. Turns out we started this spring with 9 birds, and they're fantastic mothers. They really came of their own this year. We've had 3 rounds of chicks. We had 9, and then we had 7, and then we had 5. So the population tripled in 6 months. Most of those birds actually are roosters, those chicks that were hatched out. So this year we won't even be raising meat birds. We'll just be, in a few months' time, we'll be processing those roosters. Some of them have started crowing, so yeah, they're delicious eating, the Australorps. We actually think they're better eating than the meat birds that we raised last year. So
I think so as well.
Yeah.
And once you've had just free-range farm-raised chicken, it's going to be hard to ever go back if we don't have them.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so that's we've met all the new arrivals on the farm. We've met our new piglets. We've got that puppy, and we've had a look. And of course, there's just loads and loads of little chicks running around. We're very, very close to having a calf on the farm.
Yes.
And so we'll just update you when that happens. But
Pretty
otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us for a little walkthrough on the farm, getting our jobs done, and meeting all the new arrivals, seeing how we're keeping our costs down. Thank you for all those people that support us, because we are trying to be frugal, but we just couldn't do it without like a little bit of ongoing support each week. So thank you everyone that financially gives us a little something to make these videos.
Yes. And
I'll go and check out the comments section and see what advice is sitting there ready for us, because I've had some really great comments. So thank you everyone for that as well. Anything you want to say, Pasky?
No, thanks everyone as well for watching. And yeah, if you enjoy the video, that always helps if you give it a thumbs up.
It does.
Yeah, and
right.
look forward to seeing you at the next one.
I'm going to go feed chickens.